I'm Alyssa. Please like and subscribe. Today, I'm excited to share my real-life story of how I once pretended to be the daughter of the wealthiest family in town just to hide the truth about my family. My family was so poor, we lived in a trailer instead of a house. We drove it all over the country because my parents were constantly looking for new ways to make a buck. For some reason, Mom and Dad liked that kind of life. They were always cheerful. Happiness is not about money, my baby. However, on the other hand, I was always ashamed of how poor we were. For as long as I could remember, I dreamed of wearing fashionable designer clothes and having my own room, but instead, my mom sewed my clothes herself. My classmates often made fun of me for that. Alyssa, why are you wearing a potato sack? I tried to ignore the teasing, but deep down, I dreamed of having rich parents and enough money to buy whatever I wanted. The only thing that worked in my favor was my pretty face. But even that got me into a big mess when Mom started working with the Johns. Mr. and Mrs. John were filthy rich and owned a very successful cosmetics company. Their life seemed like a movie to me, and I was fascinated with them. I always wanted to visit their house. So when one day, Mom asked me to help her out with some chores, I happily agreed. I almost started drooling at the sight of the mansion, and all I could think was how amazing it would be to actually live here. I guess I drooled a bit too much, because even Mom noticed it. Alyssa, don't be jealous of them. You don't know what secrets they might be hiding. Mom believed there could be ugliness behind the beautiful facade, but I didn't think much of her words. We got to cleaning, and 5 minutes into it, Mom accidentally tripped and fell on this huge plasma TV, breaking it into pieces. Just then, a creepy butler came running towards the noise and called Mr. and Mrs. John. They saw the mess, and their jaws dropped to the floor.
We've just bought this TV. It's worth a fortune.
It costs more than you could earn in a lifetime.
Mom turned pale, but that ruthless couple kept shouting at her. After a while, they finally noticed me and abruptly stopped talking.
Who is this adorable girl?
This is my daughter, Alyssa.
Alyssa, oh, you're so pretty.
Mrs. John and her husband moved aside and whispered to each other for a long time, sneaking glances at me from time to time. Then they came back and offered us an unusual deal.
As you know, we own a company, and we need a model to promote our new line of makeup. Maybe Alyssa's interested in modeling for us?
They said they would forget about the broken TV if I agreed to be their model and do several photo shoots with them. In return, they promised to transfer me to a better school and cover my school fees for 2 years. I wanted to say yes immediately, but Mom was totally against it and asked for time to think. That day when we got home, I tried talking Mom into the deal. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, Mom. I can finally get into the school of my dreams. Yes, but I keep getting a bad feeling about this deal. And I'm getting a bad feeling about rotting in jail if we don't pay for the plasma TV. Mom and I had a long discussion, after which she finally agreed, and the next day, she hesitantly signed the contract. The Johns fired Mom and asked me to move in, and even though my parents were still concerned, I reassured them that it would be okay, and also promised to keep in touch with them regularly. The next few days were nothing short of a dream. The Johns gave me a huge room with a wardrobe full of gorgeous outfits. They took me shopping, and we ate in expensive restaurants. Mornings were all about shoots and promotions of their new product, and evenings were all about pampering myself with expensive spa treatments. The coolest thing was that the butler did everything around the house, and I didn't even lift a finger. And when I joined school, things only got better. My new school was a fashion palace. Everyone wore designer stuff, and with my new clothes, I was an instant fit. Are you related to the Johns? I love their makeup. Of course, I'm their daughter. Really? I didn't know they had a daughter. Okay, so I lied. But all my classmates came from rich families, and I would have died of shame if they found out I was as poor as a street rat. Besides, no one really knew me, so I just came up with a clever excuse to explain my sudden existence. The next time someone asked me where I was all these years, I just told them that I'd been living in Milan with my aunt, who was also a brand ambassador for a top luxury fashion brand, and surprisingly, that worked. Everyone wanted to talk to me about my life in Italy and loved being around me. Everyone except this one guy, Greg. He was our school captain, really handsome, and definitely my type. But he always used a sarcastic tone with me.
So, you're Mr. John's daughter, huh? I heard you've been in Italy all this while. Could you speak a few lines in Italian for me, please?
Dolce vita, mamma mia. Sorry, sorry, my throat's a bit off today. Can we talk tomorrow?
Sure.
And with that, he simply smirked and walked away, leaving me confused. What was his problem? As much as Greg annoyed me, I didn't have time to pay attention to his nonsense. Lately, there were too many photo shoots happening at the same time, and I was extremely homesick. Alyssa, my dear, are you all right? I'm fine, Mom. I'm in the middle of a shoot, so can I call you back? I put my phone away and went to the photo shoot to pose with Mr. and Mrs. John. We looked like a happy and successful family in the photos, but only I knew how hollow these pictures were.
Alyssa, you are stunning! You're going to be very rich, I can feel it.
Really? My parents say there are more important things than money.
That's a lie poor people made up. Now smile.
Soon, I was everywhere on TV, and my popularity went shooting through the roof. I got busier at work and school. Mom kept calling me up, but I didn't have enough time to answer her calls. I thought I'd make it up over the weekend when I'd meet Mom, but a few days later, I was called to the school office, saying there was someone to visit me. I thought it was Mrs. John trying to surprise me at school, so I took my friends along. But when I got there, it was Mom, sitting at the front desk, wearing an old, ugly dress. Guys, this is our nanny. I wasn't feeling well this morning, and my parents were busy at work, so I think they sent her to check on me. I then told Mom to tell them that I was perfectly fine, and they didn't have to bother her. My mom played along and left, but deep down, I felt really bad for hurting her this way. That day when I got home, I was unusually stressed and decided to take a nap when I noticed torn pictures of me scattered around the bed. I called for the butler, and he quickly cleaned up everything. But later that night, I saw someone's silhouette creeping through my room. I thought I was dreaming until the next morning, I woke up to find all the clothes in my closet had been cut up, and the bathroom mirror had a creepy message. Run, or something terrible will happen. By now, I was pretty freaked out and told Mr. and Mrs. John about everything, but their reaction surprised me.
It's a big house, darling. Maybe some rat found its way in.
But what about the message?
Alyssa, baby, you're a famous girl. Maybe some servant is playing a prank. In any case, I'll look into it. Don't worry.
I wasn't satisfied with that answer and started to spy on them. Soon, I eavesdropped on a suspicious conversation between Mr. John and the butler.
Don't you dare tell Alyssa anything. I won't let you down.
I crept away without hearing much and ran to my room. The next morning, I was on my way to school, still thinking about what the butler was saying, when I spotted my mom near the school. I quickly got out of the car and stopped her before any of my classmates saw her. Mom, what are you doing here? Lately, I've been having bad dreams. I just wanted to know if you were okay. I'm fine, and you could have just called me instead of coming all this way. But dear, just then the bell rang, and I asked Mom to leave. Immediately after she left, Greg came from the shrubs on the roadside with his phone in hand.
I knew it! You liar! She's your real mom, right? Don't even think about lying. I've recorded everything, and I will not shy away from letting everyone know the truth.
I was really freaked out and didn't know what to do, so I ended up confessing everything. I told him how I came from a poor family and how the Johns had made a deal with my mom. I didn't want anyone to find out the truth about my real family, so I lied. Please don't tell anyone.
I won't, if you agree to help me.
And that's when Greg revealed something shocking. He told me how the Johns had a daughter named Jessica, but one day she disappeared without a trace.
Jessica and I were best friends, but after middle school, I left for London. When I came back, I found out that she'd been missing for a whole year. I've been trying to get inside that house ever since, but that butler just wouldn't let me in.
Gosh, that butler gives me the creeps.
Yeah, he's a total jerk, but he's also close to the family. If there's anyone who knows about Jessica, it's him. Please, Alyssa, if you can get me any information on Jessica, I promise to protect your secret.
Greg looked at me desperately, and I just felt really sorry for him. So I agreed to help in whatever way I could, and started my investigation by cornering the butler. So, who do you think wrote that message on my bathroom mirror? I bet my butt you know something.
It's none of your business, girl. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
What about my tattered clothes?
I don't know, okay? Leave me alone.
Yeah, right. Like I'd believe that. I kept bombarding the butler with questions every day, but he wouldn't open his mouth. And I'd almost given up until one day I was getting some leftover dessert when I noticed the butler going towards the basement. He then pulled out a book from one of the shelves, and a secret door opened in the wall. He went inside, and I slipped through behind him. And that's when I saw a girl. Who are you? The butler and the girl both turned around to see me. I was pretty sure this was Jessica, Mr. and Mrs. John's daughter. There was no more hiding, and they decided to tell me the truth, and I was just at a loss for words.
I always felt like my parents didn't love me. I thought it was because I wasn't pretty enough. Seeing disappointment in their eyes hurt my self-esteem. I felt like a failure. And I started spending more time alone. Eventually, I asked my parents if I could live here. They didn't want to at first, but I didn't back down. In the end, they agreed. They gave me everything I needed, even hired a tutor for my studies.
Jessica also confessed that she was the one who scared me and ruined my things because she wanted me to leave. Even though she freaked me out, I realized she was really going through a lot and was just jealous that her parents chose me over her. Your parents are beautiful, but have ugly hearts. You're pretty, and you shouldn't listen to them.
Thank you. No one has ever said that to me before.
Jessica and I got talking, and our conversation made me realize how ungrateful I've been to my parents.